get for try forget the police, but they continue for look at the issue. Let we try for talk to a private legal practitioner where from we end we want for let answer a few questions. And one, the position of the law on same-sex union. It will also talk on the cultural and social norms and the gap now the law regarding same-sex union, and of course it will end up make recommendations. Them we go on the phone again for try forget this private legal practitioner for let give we a position where I just don't talk about where it go explain but the law within the law say but same-sex union, and also it go refer tell we the gaps them now the country in law. Now the program now I want for welcome Michael Mitchell Conteh, we a lawyer. Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Show on Liberty TV.
Mabel, good morning, and good morning to the viewers and listeners.
All right, so I just don't tell the viewers them. You know one person where I see writes a very long piece over the weekend when this particular incident become public for say two young lady them be they get married na Waterloo where the police then say be apprehend them. Well, we still let's try forget the police, but this you particular piece where you been right regarding this issue being address the issue of the position of the law on same-sex union, the cultural and social norms, the gap then at the law, and also you've been providing recommendations them where according to you for address this for let not happen in the future, then recommendations and the people them within authority for look at. But let me just start first with the law. You're not a lawyer and you write a whole piece regarding this issue of woman and woman them they get married in a salon. Firstly, let we know if it been shock you when you get the information.
Well, as a person, I know things it shocked me that through the news around woman and woman they get married in a salon, because about 3 weeks ago I think I come across statistics will be published by one of the media outlets. Them we speak to the numbers, and also as a teacher in social work and law we most times come across materials them we get for do with people then we get married, whether as on same-sex union, whether a man to man or woman to woman. So it not shock me, but waiting I think say shock me now the arrest will happen, and I be once for no under whose basis will it happen, considering the fact say now woman to woman I didn't get married on that day, or said to have gotten married on that day.
Why you say you been once for no? Because this is a question where many other people and we self na Liberty Online TV don't they try forget the police. Let we know on which basis they arrest them.
Yeah, so the first thing will come to my mind when I see this news now that the said union the said ceremony will take place. I try first for check about the legality of it. So if you check now one of the first areas and then they were addressing at the piece. And it's very necessary that Fambul they will listen, understand. Say in a salon, there are 4 types of marriage this way we laws recognize. You get the Christian marriage, Cap 95, the Mohammedan marriage, Cap 96, civil marriage, Cap 97. And the customary marriage we recognized by the Registration of Customary and Divorce Act 2007. From all of them 4 marriages, then one thing they were unique, and one thing they were cut across. The law only recognized what you call heterosexual sex. So that means of the opposite sex, a man to a woman to a man. So anything outside that law will actually happen in itself is not legal. So the said ceremony will actually happen on that day na Waterloo between a woman and a woman. By law, it is not legal. So whatever ceremony, whatever fanfare we did do, the law not recognize them. That are the first aspect. So when they say the law not recognize them, apart from the fact that they had a ceremony, there are spousal benefits we can come across. We can come across with getting married to people, and they would not be beneficiaries to them benefits. And say, for instance, one of them die intestate. That is, they die, they get property, but they no write a will. Normally, somebody go through the 4 forms of marriage, they may claim spousal benefits in that regard. But that kind of ceremony, they will happen that day. Neither of them will be able to claim on the basis of the being a spouse or marital spouse eventually. But also the other issue we caught my attention, now the arrest, we then see they go arrest. So I was willing to understand on those basis we make the Sierra Leone police go do the arrest. Yes, there may be ancillary laws them. We might give them an authority for them make an intervention, but the general discussion will be to go across different media or mediums now that now because now same-sex marriage. Now the law on same-sex marriage in Sierra Leone, to the best of my research, no touch on or no contemplate lesbianism. Now we talk about the law, the closest law we deal with same-sex marriage or same-sex union, you want to put it that way. Now, the Offences Against the Persons Act 1861. And Section 61 of that particular law basically make abominable for anybody to be engaged. The word is buggery with either mankind or any animal. In the colonial era, and the colonial context, and legal scholars them right through, don't define buggery as an engagement in sexual activity through the anal. The contemplation of that by them, now that where a man, they get involved with a man. And the definition of mankind, according to legal scholars and right across, not be don't include woman them. So apparently the law was saying, if a man gets sex with a man through anal, it makes it criminal. Or a sexual activity is done with an animal, it makes it criminal. It come off from 15 years to life imprisonment then. Apparently, it tells you that woman to woman relation, we'll call lesbian dilectly, was actually not contemplated. So it is my own view that if the basis upon which the Sierra Leone police did the arrest, now for make them rely on the sexual relations we may exist between the woman and woman them on that, we get a union on that day. It is my position that that law may not cover them, or they may not have any legal basis on that. However, there may be public order offenses upon which they may rely on, and I am not in position for let give an advice to the Sierra Leone police on that. So basically, those were the two issues. One are the facts: the marriage is not legal, not under any of the forms of marriage in Sierra Leone, the 4 forms of marriage, but also the arrest also, if on the basis of their sexual relations, it will be very difficult to make it come under the only law we may understand. We may no say for deal with sexual relations. We know the Offences Against the Persons Act, Section 61 of that act, for make the use for let them pursue them 2 ladies then they.
So Michael, here comes in religion and cultural norms. We just don't talk to the Interreligious Council, we comprise of both the Muslim and Christian, we now the religion and done within the practice officially in a salon. And according to them, this particular act now one way go against religion and cultural norms of salon. So waiting missing a based on your piece where you write, you be make mention also of the cultural norms. Is it that perhaps the police use then standards here for all them people here?
Yeah, I know want to make an assumption for the police. I only made a position that if the reliance now on Section 61 of the Offences Against the Persons Act, the possibility for let you get a judge that looks through all of them, or a bench that looks through all of them, scholarly writings then they and relies to say that woman there will be caught up with that law, could possibly be very stable. But now to the cultural and social norms then, the effect of them. I agree that we get a society, or we are in a society we largely draw its values from religion. So of course you have majority of the Christian and the Muslim religion in Sierra Leone, and with traditions them. And whether it's Christian, whether it's Muslim, whether it's our culture and tradition in Sierra Leone, they also make do with the fact they confirm heterosexuality and procreation, and that can best happen when you have to do with the opposite sex, man and woman. All right, and that I am sure was also a reason for we informed them law there also. And apparently the discussion as to whether we should allow same-sex marriage, not only in Sierra Leone or in Africa, we highly influenced by culture and religion, don't they come across. My point and what I am saying is that a constant conversation there. Now that wise people and they try for protect with culture and with tradition and religious values, there are times then where people and they go willing to go and overstretch and even unbog the human rights of the individuals in question. You know, people and the way they get through stigma and people and the way they get through harassment and then they
because that's what I want to ask you, say, as a lawyer, what thing you go say regarding best practices, international human rights laws themselves where Salone be don't sign to regarding that kind of issue? Yeah?
So when we talk about human rights, we need to understand something, that one person right stop at the start of another person. That you choose for be a homosexual in any form does not mean that your action should inhibit the rights of another. All right, but also that you make a disagreement to that type of sexuality, you also have to look around under the circumstances. These are conversations that we not only happen as Sierra Leone. So for me, in what I think is that first and foremost we have to open the conversation and let we take a position that we fill in the gaps. Now the country, because if we continue to left from hanging like that, people and they would exploit the situation like what happened at Waterloo. They may have had an advice as to say it may not be criminal on them to have engaged in that, because a law cannot possibly hold them on that basis. However, there are people within the society we feel like for say our culture and our tradition is being tampered with, and if we continue to allow them to therefore happen, we picking them or we other set of people and we get influence, which we think regard as negative influence, and the one that we feel say they want for follow that kind of trend, and they go also feel stigmatized and look like for say they are being shifted from society. But one thing where I think say cause all of this now, because we not done as a nation decide for let we get a conversation around it, and if we get to regulate them entirely, where we put laws them, if the law effort say homosexuality is banned from happening in Sierra Leone, and we get safeguards around them, around the human rights of whosoever we may get involved into it, let we make sure so we get the laws and very clear on that. Let one person not just grab and decide what to think as they feel. That's my position. My position is not saying whether homosexuality is right or wrong, or whether we should abandon our traditions and our culture. My point is we have to be very clear with our legislations, and some of the legislations that we rely on, for me, they are obsolete. We can only account for them if we allow for the parliament or through the government decide or look to say, okay, there are gaps that are existing within these laws. We not only need for wait until we get pressure from international community, or we are assured of support at some point to say until you pass the law there, so we know give this kind of money, because apparently it's like for our knee approach we don't the experience from lawmakers or maybe authorities them with the in charge for let we look over we lost them. As a country we can still sit and say, all right, we feel like for say for instance, Truth Media, they make a publication about 66,000 people that were engaged in homosexuality. All right, this is alarming. Is it something we want to continue to get now in society? If we do not want to get it, can we possibly put laws way very explicit and very clear for deal with this particular issue once and for all? So anybody thinks say they want to engage in that and it's an act of criminality, instead we know say you don't want to offend the laws. But if you allow people to exploit the gaps of the law and you are not addressing that, and when once they exploit them gaps in of the law, then you still want to do something very illegal. For me, I think it's also not cognizant of the fact that the person also gets a human right. So it's a matter of balancing human rights and with culture with values and the necessary legislation that will get in place. We're very close to their subject matters indeed.
So, Michael, I just want to take you back on your opening statement where you first mentioned about the forms of marriage, the way we get in a salon, where you talk about Christianity, Islam, the traditional marriage, and that of the civil marriage. You know, feel because you are so like skeptical on the form of arrest where the police do, and you mentioned say this kind of marriage when a sex the same-sex marriage will happen at Waterloo, it not the part of we married with forms of marriage in a salon. So you know, feel on that basis, police do the arrest.
Yeah. So marriage is a civil union. Yeah. It is providing for the rules that govern it. There are laws and they provide for the rules that govern for you regarding marriage as being legal. Okay. If you not go according to the rules of the marriage, of the different laws and that we cover marriage, it's basically saying your marriage cannot be recognized as being a marriage. Okay, it is not saying when you not go according to the rules, it becomes a criminal offense. I'll give you an example. The Christian Marriage Act is requiring that you publish bans of marriage for specific periods of time. If you decide to go married without publishing bans of marriage, then on a ceremony. But if it is challenged, civil, remember, there's a difference between criminal and civil law. If it is challenged that this marriage not actually go through the right process as provided by the law, then it becomes void. It becomes voidable. That means it cannot be recognized by law. If even there are reasons for make you get benefits out of them, then you may not claim that benefit because you did not follow the law. That is not to say because you not publish bans of marriage means it's an act of criminality, or you will be held culpable criminally. Or say the Salone police will arrest you and say, "Well, I'm not go according to the rules." So I am cocksure that the Salone police would not rely on saying that because they not fall part of the four forms of marriage. First and foremost, the marriage itself is void ab initio. It not even supposed to be regarded as a marriage. Okay, because a breach in matrimonial Causes Act and Rules of 1960. They ask that in marriage, one indicator for let you be recognized as marriage for be heterosexual of opposite sex. So for the fact that it breached that particular aspect, which means nothing like marriage actually happened, but that's not an act of criminality. What I think say possibly go down, inspire the act of criminality, maybe either a non-cognizance of the limitations of Section 61 of the Offences Against the Persons Act. Right. We only remotely speak to buggery and mankind and not being contemplate woman-to-woman relations, or possibly the possible public order offences, but not necessarily because the marriage was not properly constructed.
All right.
I'm not sure.
Many thanks for share your view with we this morning at the breakfast show, Michelle.
Hello?
Yes, many thanks for you joining me this morning.
Yeah, the call is muted. It's muted.
Michelle, many thanks for you joining me at the breakfast show this morning for share your opinion regarding the same-sex marriage way up on our Waterloo.
Thank you so very much, and thank you very much to viewers and listeners.
All right, well, that's now Michael Mitchell Conteh, a private legal practitioner, will be the share in your opinion regarding the same-sex marriage, where they say be na Waterloo on Friday. And like I told you earlier, we still try to get the police, let we know on which basis they make the arrest and whether